Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 341 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Episode 341. We're only 9 episodes away from 350. That's crazy. That's pretty incredible. Just based on holidays and stuff, that's probably going to be in early 2024. I think we've done the math, and that's my current estimate, is that it'll be sometime in early 2024 that we do episode 350. Not to say that there's like anything wrong with an episode 341. Today's that episode. I know I'm talking about an episode long into the future. That is like a milestone episode. It's coming up, and if people have ideas on things to do for 350, that'll be exciting. In fact, let me start by talking about the agenda and what's going on. So it's October 4th, 2023, episode 341. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know how I want things to proceed. I've got plans, but I haven't done any of this before prior to the stream. So you're watching it unfold as it happens in reality, and that means that if things go wrong, and you'll get to watch me try and recover. So that might be, we find some bug in a patch and we're not able to submit it until we can fix that bug, and so we late discovery and we figure it out and we work on that. Or maybe what'll happen is we get blocked on something and we have to do some research to figure out how to get unblocked. Who knows what'll happen. What you'll be observing today is me actually doing my job as I would normally do it, more or less. So what I like to say is it's capturing software development in the raw, and that includes the hard, boring parts as well, like the trial and error, the grind, as some might call it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at is available to you. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the details section over there for a link to the agenda. If you're watching this on diode.zone or YouTube, there's a link down in the video description. And down in the channel details on Twitch, there's a link to the agenda, and you'll be able to click on all of these links. If I add links or if I update some of the text, you'll see this little spinning guy twist around. Just reload the page and it should be up to date. Let's get into it. What do I want to do today? Well, we kind of hit a milestone last week. As some of you might be aware, we've been working on this Windows jump list backend, this alternative Windows jump list backend, for over a year. There were some points where we put it down and we came back, but I think we had done the math and realized that we had started this work in 2022 in probably August. I think I started mentioning the jump list back here. Yeah. Jump lists back in August of 2022, maybe even before that. Was I talking about it back here? We were talking about private browsing and this other sort of user confusion problem, and the jump list being an issue, and then we kind of fixated on the Windows jump list. And since August 3rd at least, we've been working on it, but only during the stream. That is the key here, is that normally it doesn't take, I wouldn't say it would take me this long to work on something, but I've only been working on it during the stream, during hour and a half increments. And so that's what we're talking about here is, how many episodes? 296. 341 minus 296. Someone, I can't do math in my head. 341 minus 296. That's 45 episodes. 45 episodes, let's say 1.5 hours each. So that's 90. It's over what? No. I've already lost track. How many episodes was it? 341 minus 296 was 45 times 1.5 is 67.5 hours total, divided by 8. So we're talking about something like about a week and a half work of constant work. That's how I would sort of boil it down. Now that is not necessarily the case, and double check my math there. I was kind of doing it really quickly, but if that's the case, that sounds about right. If I was working on this on my own, I would expect this work to take about 2 weeks, and I think we're in that ballpark there. So while it might seem like we've been working on this for a long time, if I was actually doing this for full work week, full time, not streaming, I think we'd be on track. And so I don't know how that makes you all feel, but there you go. Where are we at? Well, last week, like I said, we reached some kind of milestone, and that is that we got our G test written and we posted our patches up for review. And what I'm hoping we can do today is to look at our stack of patches and comb through them a little bit and make sure that we're happy with them, rebase them. In fact, maybe I'll start by rebasing and starting a build in the background. But then like going through those patches, making sure we're happy with them, and then actually requesting review for them. So I'm hoping we can end this episode with a review request being up, for a series of patches. But who knows what we'll find? We might discover that there's a serious problem with our patches. I also know that there are a number of like unchecked boxes in the list here that maybe we'll want to review just to make sure that there's not a to-do that we missed that we wanted to get done before posting it. So let's start actually by going to my Windows machine here. I've got an Ubuntu machine running in the background. I'm actually going to pause it because I want to reclaim some resources here. And I am going to, first of all, I'm going to make sure that the patches are 9B1 BD9, and that is G test. If the commit is 9, oh, it's different. It's different. Did I already rebase this? Maybe I rebased this July 26th. 9B1 BD9 5. I wonder if what I should do is post this for review again, submit I'm just gonna say whip, and see if it detects any changes. Commit 538.903. That's interesting. Like the hashes are different. So MozFab is going to go ahead and try and update itself. It's probably going to fail. I always find that updating MozFab fails because it's going to fail to get the write access to like some DLL. So I have to do it myself. I go pip3 install MozFab. I do it myself. Fine, I do it myself. And then let's try submitting that again. And I'm just curious to know what the difference will be between the two revisions. It's not like I've been posting from multiple machines and sharing the patches between multiple machines. This has really only been on my Windows machine. So, that's interesting that the hashes don't match. That is not something that I expected, but we'll see. We'll take a look and see what the difference is. Maybe I accidentally committed something after I had submitted last time. Meanwhile, I can sort of... okay, so three of the revisions had not changed. But one did, the jump list one. 9B1 BD9, that's the one. So it was just the last one that had changed. I'm curious to know what the difference is. Let's take a look. Here, I'll reload the page and we can actually look at the history between the two. History. What changed? Nothing. Nothing changed. So somehow a new revision was created. What? diff2 9 d18 9407. That's this one. Is there like a delay here? History. There were only two. So yeah, I don't know what the dealio is, but now we've got the right commit ID, so that's good. So we've got a match. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to start by locally pulling central and rebasing, because if you take a look at all of the patches that we've written are based on central, which the last pull is from July. That's July, August, September. It's like 4 months ago. More like 3 months ago, just a little over 3 months ago. Is that right? July, August, September, October. Hang on. I can do math. July to August, August, September, September to October. We're but like it's just over, I'd say 2 months at this point, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Just over 2 months. So I get flustered when I try and do math in front of people, especially strangers over the internet. So you've seen that twice now. I apologize if you're watching me fail at like grade school math in front of a crowd. I get stressed out. Plus, I'm highly caffeinated. But what I'm hoping to do is I'm going to pull from Central and rebase the patches that we have on top of something much more recent, and that way, we can make sure we're up to date. I also realize I'm not seeing a whole lot of chat in the matrix room. I'm gonna double check and make sure that the chat bouncer is working. Oh, it is. There's Smurfd. Smurfd says, "Prepare for merge conflicts. Strap in, everybody." Now the good news is that the jump list code I would not imagine to change very much. Hello. Oh yes, George, did I have it in here? Did I have, I've got a to-do, and yes, my phone went off. Okay, I would like to pause everything and say hello to George. George Lou is in the chat. George Lou 20, G Lou 20 is in the chat. I happened to meet George in person just last week, just Friday. George is a contributor who's worked on some parts of the front end. I think he'd worked on some parts of About Preferences and, written some JavaScript. I think I saw some CSS patches in there, a couple of patches, getting some good first patches written. And we met in person at like kind of an unrelated event, but I was at a booth for Mozilla. And George came up and said hello, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give you a shout out during the next Joy of Coding because I know that you happen to watch it periodically. And so shout out to George, who I happened to meet in person last week, and thank you for all your patches. And it was great to meet you. Great to meet you in person. Yes, we might. Yay! There's yay! It was fantastic meeting you. I love meeting contributors and people who have hacked on the code before. Even if it's just one patch or it's 1,000 patches, if you've contributed, I'm eager to say hello. So if you ever see me in the wild and you're like, I've contributed to Firefox and I think that's Mike Conley over there, feel free to come up and say hello to me. And it doesn't even need to be code. If you've helped out on MDN or you've helped out on Sumo, these are all contributions to the project. And I would happily say hello. I mean, obviously, if I'm being wheeled in on a stretcher into the emergency room, don't take that opportunity to say hello. If I'm clearly in the middle of a romantic evening with my partner, maybe don't choose that opportunity. But if I'm just like hanging out, I'm standing on the street, and you see me, come right on up and say hello, and I'll happily chat with you about Firefox. Okay, so we're pulling our central. So again, just while we're waiting for this rebase, it was great meeting you, George, and thank you. You're saying thank you, but I'm saying thank you back. Okay, so some conflicts occurred in moz.build. This occurred when attempting to rebase just the very first patch. It was able to merge most of the changes, but it failed to merge the change to widget windows moz.build. And we have to resolve that manually. So we're in the middle of a rebase and we have a conflict. So let's fix that. Widget Windows moz.build. Let's see what is going on in here. And the problem is that it looks like something else had gotten added to the unified sources list, and we need to keep this in alphabetical order. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these conflict markers, and we're going to put jump list under here. And is there another one? Are there any other markers in here? No, I think that's it. So that was pretty straightforward. We're going to mark that as resolved. And then we're going to continue our rebase. JPEZ Ninja Zero says, can confirm Mike is an awesome conversationalist. You're going to have to excuse me, JPEZ Ninja. Have we met? Have we met in person before? Maybe I just don't recognize your handle. Do we know each other? That'd be interesting. If I mean, I apologize if we've maybe you are one of my closest friends and I just don't recognize your handle. It's possible. But thank you for calling me an awesome conversationalist. I do my best. I like to make sure that people I try not to make I try to make sure it's a good conversation. Okay, so we've got a couple of more conflicts here. I'm going to try and deconflict these things. There's one problem here, and that's if Mosque web IDL files. It looks like originally I was saying, hey, include Glean and Glean pings. Has that been removed from DOM Chrome Web IDL? DOM Chrome Web IDL Moz.build. Was Glean? Take it. I guess it was. Well, thank you for the compliment, JPEZ Ninja Zero. I don't know how to pronounce your handle. JPEZ Ninja Zero? JP Esninjo. Move Glean and Glean pings to plain web IDL. That happened very recently, September 20th. So the resolution, I think, here is to just not include this part. And to include that part instead. And resolve that file. The other conflicts were in here. This is going to be a little spicier. We're going to see what this is all about. Because this is a new file, but we cloned it. We copied from the old one, from the old jump list builder. So what has happened to jump list builder lately? We had breakfast together twice. According to JPEZ Ninja, we've had breakfast together twice. I'm terrified. You have me. I think the fancy way of responding to this is, you have me at a disadvantage, sir. Or I don't know who you are. I say sir, but you might not be a sir. You could be a Ms. or a Madame or a man. Who knows? You have me at a disadvantage. But I'm glad we've had. I hope we had a decent breakfast and a good conversation. I'm very curious. Very curious. So when did things change recently? Actually, oh, I'm in the wrong file. It's supposed to be jumplistbuilder.h. I'm looking for changes in jumplistbuilder.h. Masatoshi changed things recently. Removing macros for older Windows SDK. Aha, that makes sense. You have me at a disadvantage. Jumplistbuilder.h. What happened was we got rid of this stuff. So what we can do is we'll choose what did other things change? Because it wasn't just Windows.h. I think we realized we didn't need any of this stuff anyways. Log severity. Yeah, okay. I think I can just throw all this stuff away. I don't need that. I think that's the right move. We'll know if this doesn't build or work properly. HG resolve mark widget Windows jump list builder.h. I'm very curious, JP Easy Ninjo. We had breakfast together twice. Breakfast. Was this in Montreal? Did we have breakfast together in Montreal? Can you give me a location? Person, place, or thing. Is it a film? 2 words. Did we... Yeah, we want jump list item, jump list builder. Legacy jump list item. I don't think we need jump list item anymore. We just need jump list builder. Because I think jump list item is gone in our patch. Yeah, we just have legacy. So we're going to get rid of jump list item and jump list builder. Good. All right. So we can continue our rebase. The suspense is killing me. I don't know if are we ever... Who are you? Who are you? This is like a game of guess who, I guess. It's a very interesting game. This looks like the merge might go through. Especially because like the new the later patches just add new files. Currently trying to write the next hint. Oh, I love this game. Oh, I love puzzles. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's build and see if it builds. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and start looking at our patch and see what we can think about cleaning up. And we'll start right from the very beginning. So this is almost like maybe I'll start by talking about the stack of patches, what they each do, what their focus is on, and then we'll look at each one. So the very first patch, like remember what we're trying to do is we're swapping out an old mechanism for maintaining Windows jump lists, and that mechanism does the job, but it exposes a lot of the detail of the underlying Win32 API for jump list management to the front end, which means that it must run on the main thread because it's exposing those things directly to the JavaScript through XBCOM. It's exposing it to the main thread. And so instead of trying to, I think our original solution, the one that we tried to start with, was extending the existing API so that we could do more off of the main thread. But what we concluded was that really the old model and the old like module, the old component, is going to be really difficult to work with, like to sort of bolt an additional solution on top of. And so what we've got then is a forking. We're going to fork the old backend, and we will modify our fork of it and make it so that at runtime we can switch between the two. And so the very first step of creating this fork is we're going to rename the old jump list mechanism to the legacy jump list builder. And that will be the backend. The current backend is the legacy jump list builder. And so what I did was I changed all of the interface names from jump list committed callback to legacy jump list committed callback to make it very clear if anyone is like using this old thing, if they're using any of these bits and pieces, that they know, hey, this thing is on its last legs. We're going to be eventually turning this off. Or at least it's meant to be replaced with something better. So we've changed the component ID and the interface IDs. We're updating all of the places where we might construct them. That looks good. I think there are only a couple of places where we call create jump list builder. And it's Windows jump list, the 2 places that we just identified and that are being changed here, as well as within tests. There's a test taskbar jump list items, and I believe that has also been, that's been updated. But we'll double check that in a sec. Actually, let's double check it right now. So yeah, we update all of the IDs and the interfaces. This is all just bookkeeping. It's all just a rename. There we Let's expand this a bit more. See, like, it was really exposing a lot of how jump lists worked to the front end. That was kind of the flaw with this design. And like, no, it's no fault of the people who originally wrote it. Like, they had different constraints they were dealing with. And now through hindsight, we can see like, oh, there was probably a better way, a better API that allowed the front end to not have to worry about so much stuff, and in particular allows the front end to delegate most of the work to a different thread. Test legacy jump list. Yep, all of this makes sense. Like, I'm just making sure that like all of the, all of the right places got updated, and it looks like it was. So let's jump back up here. We changed the names of the interfaces. You can see that happening here as well in the patch. Next hint. We didn't eat together, but I ran into you at a third breakfast, and we were able to say our goodbyes. Was this in Montreal? Was this in Montreal that this occurred? Do you work on Mozilla.social? Is it, maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Do you work on Mozilla.social? JPEZ Ninjo? Okay. So we update the name of the interfaces. I maybe should have included a comment here being like, these interfaces are deprecated, but maybe it's just obvious from the fact that it's called legacy. I'll probably just leave it. Same with the legacy items. All of these things are getting like renamed. Yep. They have a last hint. Okay, great. So we also update Win taskbar so it can return the legacy builder. Okay, great. We update all of the... Oh, it didn't even occur to me that we might need to think about people using these... I think these all got updated. Yeah, they did. What was the other one? Jump list item CID. That doesn't get used. I mean, I presume... Oops. Separator CID. Like, eventually all of this will be able to be removed. Link CID. Yeah, there are a bunch of constants that aren't being used. Okay, that's fine. So be it. I told you I'm not getting... I told you I'm not getting let go during a presentation after Mozilla.social was showcased. Yeah, I think I know who you are. I don't know if you want me to identify you over the chat live, but I think I know who you are. Please no. Okay. I think I know who you are. It's good hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I didn't expect you God, no, please no. I will not. Don't worry. I know who you are. It's great hearing from you. Thanks for watching the stream. Okay, so we also update the test. I think we just looked at this, so we don't have to do that again. And then I renamed the test to test legacy jump list items. And that was like, I think, the only test. So the previous system, mostly it tested the individual chunks. It didn't test a lot of the it didn't test calling into the API. So it's we're actually improving upon that by writing all of the tests that we wrote. And then again, more renaming here. There's not a whole lot of like logic being updated. Oh, so there are some Clang format warnings. So one thing we might want to do is rerun like our linting after our rebuild is done. Is it? Oh, what's going on here? Our rebuild failed. Why? Why? Creating config. Sandbox validation. The error occurred while validating the result of the execution. Reported error is ink collector. Unified sources does not exist. Ink collector doesn't exist. Widget. Oh, is the issue... Oh. Whoops. CD widget git grep ink collector CPP. Oh, hg grep ink collector CPP. What are all the places I mention it? Maybe I should include like in this directory. It's just in the windows.moz build. Okay, so we're gonna remove that. I think that was an accident. I presumed that it was something that had been added, and that's why we were conflicting with it. It's actually, it had been removed, and that's why it's not working out. So we're gonna go ahead and absorb. The other thing I want to do now that I have the console back and it's not building is I'm going to run the linting tool. Mock lint outgoing fix. So it's going to run linting. Oh, I'm not in the right directory. It's going to run our linting on every one of the patches that I've got applied here. Not just like ESLint, but also our Clang format stuff. So this might take a few minutes and we can let that run. But that should address some of these warnings. Yeah, and it's just complaining about formatting. And yeah, more renames. It's nothing too sophisticated here. This is very mechanical to the point where I suspect if it doesn't build, that's when you know something is wrong. Like that's, you know, if you start using a thing, if I forgot to rename something, I don't think it would build. So I think we've covered most of our bases here. If it builds, legacy. Yes, that all makes sense. Reformat the C++ can do. Again, reformat. I also really like that Fabricator shows me like just the chunk that was added. In this case, it's just the word legacy is being inserted in front of a bunch of stuff. This is not the most exciting patch, to be clear. This is a rename patch, so it's just a very mechanical operation. Probably my editor could have done it if it was smarter. Like an IDE probably could have done this more quickly than I did it by hand, except that the IDE would have needed to know about things like XPCOM. Great. And then, yeah, okay, more formatting. That's fine. Don't worry about it. More formatting. Yes. Format. How's it going? Did it fix? It fixed a bunch of stuff. Great. Let's take a look and see some of the stuff that it fixed. Some ESLint errors. These are JavaScript style updates. Great. And then here's some C++ that it's updating. Looks like I had a space there when I didn't need one. Yeah, it's doing the right things here. It's applying the right style. So I'm going to go ahead and say hg absorb to absorb those changes. into the right patches. I think I'm pretty happy with this patch. Like it's not the most exciting patch. I don't envy Molly for reviewing it. The fact that it builds after it's applied is a good sign. You know, she might have some suggestions on like updating the documentation to say like, hey, don't use this thing anymore. But other than that, I don't think there's anything too outrageous about this. So let's get to a more interesting patch. The more interesting patch starts here, where we start like creating our new jump list backend. Okay, hold on a second. So we're going to absorb all of these changes into these individual patches. And were there any that weren't assigned to a revision? Because sometimes that can occur if like 64 of 64 chunks are applied. That's good. So yeah, there are no unsubmitted changes. Great. So we should be still on the topmost patch. And if that's the case, let's go ahead and build. The highlighting of those little chunks when doing diffs is such a quality of life thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't realize you miss it until you start trying to like review something that like, I don't know, using a tool like just looking at a raw diff. It's like, holy smokes, what a pain in the butt. Okay, so one of the first things we did was we decided to create a new WebIDL file, and that is to define our dictionary structure. And I realize we're not even including that here. We haven't even included the WebIDL. That's something that we're missing. So I'm actually going to stop for a second. I'm going to stop our build. We're missing a file. I didn't HG add this thing. Let's just see if it's still the case. DOM Chrome WebIDL. I suspect there's going to be an untracked file in here. Yes. Okay. So I need to add that to the second patch. That's this one. That definitely wouldn't have built. It would have been like, hey, what's this WebIDL you're talking about? So we're just going to HG add it. HG add Windows jump list shortcut description. I realize now that I'm also going to need probably a DOM peer to review that, but I think I'll get that Herald, the system that like notices what files have been changed, will assign the reviewer automatically there. So I'm going to rebase the other two changes on top of the one that I just created. We can manually look at the WebIDL file, Windows jump list shortcut description. It's just, so this is a thing I need to do. I need to document. This is a to-do. So let's document this right now. The Windows jump list shortcut description. A Windows jump list shortcut description is a structure that describes an entry in the Windows describes an entry to be created in the Windows jump list. It is both tasks as well as custom items can be described using this structure. And then I'll say that NSI jump list builder populate, which one, what I think it's just the one. Populate jump list expects it. Populate jump list expects it. Where was I just now? Accepts. And whenever I task descriptions, yeah, populate jump list expects accepts these structures, arrays of these structures. And then we can document what these are. The title to be displayed, the title of the task jump list item to be displayed to the user. This is the path to the executable to run that Windows should run when the task, when the item is selected. Arguments to be supplied to the executable when the item is selected in the jump list. I think the description is used for the tooltip. The contents, a description of the item that is displayed as a tooltip. Yeah. Okay. The path to an icon to display, the path to an icon to assign to the jump list item. If this is supplied, then fallback icon index is ignored. I think that's true. Is that true? Icon path. If it's not empty, set the icon location. Set icon location. So if it's by default, what happens is we set up a fallback icon index, and then if one happened to be passed and it's not empty, then we set the icon location to it and the fallback icon index to 0. Okay. Then fallback icon index is defaults to 0 in the event that the path does not resolve to. I guess it doesn't need to be that way. Why do it that way? I guess fallback icon index. I don't mind that. Yeah, let's just do it that way. I don't see why we need to have that behavior. If this does not resolve to a valid icon file, then the fallback icon index is used. If this is not supplied or does not resolve to a valid icon file, then the fallback icon index is used. The index, the icon index associated with the executable at the path to use in the event that no icon path is supplied. Okay. maybe that could default to 0, but I think this is probably fine. Make it explicit. Now there were some other to-dos I saw, and that was over here. We have to fill these out. Let's see here. Writes a new set of items to the Windows jump list. This occurs asynchronously. Off of the main thread. Param. And we'll say that we expect Windows jump list shortcut description a task descriptions 0 or more Windows jump list shortcut descriptions to place items within the tasks section of the jump list. Param a string, a custom title, an optional title, for a custom custom sub list within the jump list that will be populated via a custom descriptions. This must be supplied if a custom descriptions is not empty. And then, very similar to the last one, a custom descriptions 0 or more Windows place items within the custom section of the jump list. A custom title must be supplied if this array is non-empty. And then returns promise undefined. Returns a promise in the event that returns a promise that resolves or rejects in the event that resolves if the jump list was properly written to, and rejects otherwise. And it throws. Now, what do we say for throws? For xpidl throws, we just describe the various things it throws, and populate jump list. Jump list might throw error invalid arg. If any of the argument past arguments do not meet the requirements set out above. What else might it throw? And it's error failure in the event of a unexpected failure, I guess. Okay. Has error failure if any an attempt to communicate with the background thread fails. What would it reject with? Just trying to remember what it rejects with. If we can't get the global object, yeah, all these things. What would it reject with? Do populate jump list. When do we ever reject? It will reject with the return value. How do we express that? What you will reject with? Promise. Promise. Okay, that's what you do, I think. Undefined or NS result rejects otherwise with the NS result of the failure. Okay, I think that covers it. I also want to mention important. This that method will reject if check for removals has not been called first to ensure that that any supplied Windows jump list shortcut description that has not been called first. Hang on. Callers should first call check for removals to remove any items that the user chose to remove in the jump list. For example, history entries, items. Then only then should any Windows jump list shortcut descriptions be created and passed to this method. Any attempt to add Windows jump list shortcut descriptions matching items that have been removed by the user will result in the promise, a return promise rejecting. This is a constraint of the underlying Win32 API. Please see begin list. Or should we see commit list? Was it begin list? Removed items. Yeah, please see for more details. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be an episode where we write documentation, gang. You know what? While we're writing this, let's get this stuff building in the background, just to see if it catches any more issues. Ooh. What do I have to commit? Okay, I'm gonna amend and evolve and then we will continue to build. Okay. Yeah, let's build. Worry about linting later. Let's add more documentation. So, or rather, we know we need to document this file. What do I want to do? Are there other to-dos in here? Is documenting in this? Oh, that's another to-do. That's useful. Yeah. Okay. Those are the things. Those are the things we're gonna do right now. Is we're gonna fill out these to-dos. Let's work our way backwards from the most complicated, which is populate jump list, to maybe some of the less complicated ones. So check for removals. Checks asks the Windows jump list Win32 Windows jump list API for any items that might have been removed by the user from the jump list UI. This should be called note important. This should be called prior to any attempt to call populate jump list to ensure that any passed in Windows jump list shortcut descriptions do not describe items that the user has just removed. Failing to do so will cause the promise returned from populate jump list to reject. Please see such and such for more details. This is a constraint, the underlying Win32 API. Please see such and such for more details. And then we need to talk about what it returns. As that might have been removed. It returns a promise that resolves with what? Check for removals. So it might throw, but otherwise what will happen is, and it might reject with an error code, but failing that it will create an array of URLs. Okay. So promise, and it will return with either strings or an NS result if it fails, if it rejects. It will also throws, and we'll put our lists there. But on success will return an array of strings for URLs of pages of history that has been removed by the user. Oh, I just got a tea delivery, everyone. Orange Pico. Amazing. Thank you very much. I said I was like highly caffeinated. This is only going to help. Strings will return an array of strings of URLs. Strings for URLs of history that have been removed by the user via the Windows jump list. It's not necessarily, yeah, it is history. It's history. History items. Browsing history items. Because it's always just browsing history items. These items will also have had their cached fav icons removed from the disk off of the main thread. On failure, this will reject with the NS result failure code. Okay. And then what does it throw? It throws check for removals. Check for removals. NS error failure if we fail, if we fail to set up the promise and communicate with the background thread. So what I'm going to say is throws NS error failure in the event that the background thread cannot be communicated with. I guess we'll just, for consistency, maybe I'll just copy this. Whoa, how come I'm over here? Did I just IntelliSense my way to a different file? That's crazy. All right. I want to paste that here. Fails. All right. Meanwhile, is it building? It is building. Great news. Still building. Let's add more documentation. I realize this isn't the funnest to watch, adding documentation, but it's so important. Is available. I'm trying to remember what this means. Returns a promise that resolves with whether or not the background thread, the backend, the native backend on the backend on the background thread is up and running. Returns promise boolean, I think, is available. Resolve is available is mjumplist backend is available. And jumplist is available. So that might be true or false. And that's if m Windows desc list is not equal to the null pointer. Okay. The jump list backend. Background thread is up and running. And can it ever reject with do is available? Can it ever reject? Maybe resolve false. Maybe resolve. Okay, so it's always a Boolean. Resolves to true if the backend is ready to accept Windows jump list shortcut descriptions. False otherwise. And then this. Okay, next. Let's do this one. Clear jump list. Removes all items from the jump list. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Clear jump list. What are we doing here? If there's no jump list backend, then it might reject with NS error unexpected. Clear jump list. Let's look at what we do here. We check to see if we can construct the promise, then we just send the message. Okay. So it's the same story as before, where it's like, okay, if we cannot communicate with the background thread, then we'll throw NS error failure. Whoops. And then if the backend is not available, we'll reject. It's going to either reject with resolve with undefined or reject with an NS result. Okay. So returns promise undefined or NS result. Resolves with undefined on successfully clearing the jump list. If it rejects, if it fails to do so, it will reject with the failure code. Okay. Obtain and cache favicon. I'm trying to remember why this is on this thing. Obtain and cache favicon. Who calls that? I think the front end does, doesn't it? In a later patch. Yeah. Obtain and cache favicon, and that does not do anything off of the main thread. This is kind of like this leftover that maybe we can clean up someday. And it returns a string. The path. Okay. Yeah, and there's a to do here. Returns the path for a favicon. Obtaining cache favicons for the URI for the result. Okay. Returns the path for a favicon for a page hosted at favicon URL. Returns the local file system path for a favicon, hosted favicon URL, if we happen to have written one to disk before. If we have not, then the fav task is background thread retrieves the favicon and will write it to disk. The next time obtain and cache favicon is then this what was returned in that case, obtain and cache favicon. Favicon helper. What? Widget favicon helper, where are you? The file path. In the event that it doesn't exist, the file does not exist yet, can obtain async from the favicon service to the next time, which it'll say, okay. Okay, it'll throw an exception. If we have not, then a background thread retrieves the favicon, will write to disk, and NS error not available will be thrown. Param SIURI URL. The URL for the web page for which we would like a locally like a file system path for the favicon. Returns a string. It's going to be a string. The local file system path for the favicon if it has been cached before. If it has not been cached before, this method will throw as error not available. Throws as error not available in the event that the favicon has never been cached to disk before. This should really be async, and then we'd never throw. We just like write, like that's a thing to modify maybe as a follow-up. This could be follow-up work, is to make this async so that if we've never written it to disk, then write it to disk and then give us the path, as opposed to just throwing and giving up the first time. All right, so that's all the to-dos in there. And then there was another to-do in here, which was like add useful logging about check for removals. Now this is occurring off of the main thread. So what's our logging story for being off of the main thread? What does Legacy Jump List Builder do for logging? I'm curious. Log. Printf. NS warn. NS error. Like, I wonder if we can log something. You return NS error unexpected. I mean, it'd be nice if we could return more than just an error code. If we could return a string. But maybe that's some follow-up work. It'd be nice if we could return a more descriptive error here so that the caller knows that they should have called check for removals first. So let's put that in follow-up work. I'm going to put it under here. Consider making the rejection value of populate jump list not an NS error or an NS result, but a more descriptive error result type. But we can do that down the line. Let's not get too distracted. Okay. How's our build going? Still building DOM. So I don't think it's going to complete by the end of this episode. But I'm pretty happy so far. So I don't know if we ever completed reviewing this second patch. So let's keep going there. So yeah, we added the IDL. We copied the old legacy one and put NSI jump list builder back in here. We created a new UUID, a new interface. I've documented all of these things. So pretty happy about that. All of the callers have implicit JS contexts except for obtain and cache favicon because it doesn't return a promise. And then when taskbar will return a jump list builder, not a legacy one. Maybe what I can do actually is update NSI win taskbar.idl to mention legacy. This jump list builder backend is in the process of being phased out. Retrieves a taskbar jump list builder. This jump list builder jump list builder. This jump list builder can be used to asynchronously populate, asynchronously add, remove, and update items in the Windows jump list. Retrieves a Windows jump list builder. There. That's fine. Now, should this be updated because when taskbar it might return an NS error unexpected if for some reason the builder can't be constructed. I don't know why that would be. But I guess I might as well mention it. Throw NS error unexpected if the backend, if the builder failed to be created. Should be throw or throws? JS doc throws. Throws, yeah, it should be throws. Okay. What else? What else? So this is our header for the jump list builder. We're bringing in, yep, the interface observer and lazy idle thread, and that's because oh, and then we also define our jump list backend. Okay, so I think it's worth adding documentation for that too. So jumplistbuilder.h. Jump list backend. This is an abstract class for a backend to write to the Windows jump list. Windows jump list. It has a 1-to-1 method mapping with I custom destination list. The abstract class allows us to implement a fake backend for automated testing. Okay, and then I guess we can yeah, I mean, is that redundant? That's probably redundant. Okay. And then jump list builder. A component. Jump list builder is a component that can read and write. It can't really read. Well, I guess it can. It gets data about removals that can be used to manage the Windows jump list off of the main thread. Sure. And these are all private methods. Doing the things, delete icon from list. Okay, these are all runner accessed. Is mapp user model ID? I think that is like they're all like none of these things, none of these members, are they ever accessed? Oh, okay, it is assign jump list builder mapp user model ID. I'll delete list. There's a little bit of an opportunity for a data race here because we write to mapp user model ID in the constructor. And then if someone were to like clear the jump list, I guess it's probably fine, but like there's no locking on app user model ID. So hold on. This is written to once during construction on the main thread before the helper thread, the lazy helper thread is created. After that, the lazy helper thread might read from it. Were there other other things that we're using it. M app user model ID. We assign it, and then we delete it. Okay. That's probably okay. It's maybe a little dangerous. The jump list backend. I think it's only accessed off of the main thread. Yeah. Do setup. Okay, so this member is only accessed on the helper thread. This is only accessed on the lazy helper thread. Oh, you know what? It just occurred to me, like this lazy background thread, if it gets shut down, how do we set it back up again? Like the IO thread. For any IO, we'll set it up. Oh, is there a problem here? Like, if the thread ever goes away, presumably, well, mjumplist backend will still exist. Okay, maybe we're all right. The thread doesn't have its own, like, why the Sublime title says dead parrot. Oh, up here? So this is I'm RDPing into my Windows machine. My Windows machine's called Dead Parrot 2. I think we're actually okay. The thread doesn't have any state that it's maintaining itself. It's reading the member off of a member that's defined on the jump list builder, which exists in the main thread. Excuse me, but it might be read from by one or more lazy helper threads. Only accessed by the lazy helper thread. This is only accessed by the main thread. Okay. That might be dicey. I can imagine some reviewers being like, what's going on here? Okay. Then we get into the interesting parts. So these are all run or accessed on MIO thread. Yes. These are all run on the lazy helper thread. Okay, so we get all of these wonderful things. We really reduced all the headers we needed to bring in, which is nice. We bring in our binding. We say that this thing implements this interface and this interface. Here's some topics. That's important. Amount of time that our IO thread will stay alive after the last event it processes is 30 seconds. Okay. And then there's a pref for whether or not lists are enabled. Who uses this again? Oh, it looks like we copied some stuff. In the event that, that it gets turned off, then we say, hey, delete all favicons from the disk. Same thing with clearing private data. Should we also be clearing the jump list in that case? If you turn this thing off, what did we used to do? We would just say, hey, delete all favicons from the disk if we're no longer enabled. Clear out the jump list manager. And we'll say that, oh, this is if shutting down. We'll like tell the thread to shut down. But I don't think we were ever clearing the list, and I wonder if we should. That's a to-do. See if we should clear jump list on what? The clear private data and on kpref taskbar enabled pref change or clear private data. That sounds like something we should do. We're clearing the favicons, but I think they might be staying in the list. At least until the next refresh. And then they'd be overwritten. And we probably want that to be more immediate. Okay, well, it's 2:36. I should probably end the stream shortly. We didn't get this build done, but we added a bunch of documentation. Let's finish reviewing this patch. I'm gonna probably spend maybe 5 to 10 more minutes reviewing this patch, just kind of inspecting it, making sure I understand what it's doing, seeing if there are any to-dos to fix, and then we'll stop there. Maybe next week we'll get it up for review. At the very least, we'll have had it rebased. I will update the patch as soon as it's done building. Will I fix any build issues? Hopefully it builds fine. If it does, no matter what happens, I'm going to push my latest stuff up to Fabricator so you can follow along. But let's keep going and just get to the end of this patch. So this is our a wrapper around a custom destination list that implements the jump list backend interface is an implementation of jump list backend that actually causes items to appear in a Windows jump list. We use on-event targets class might be stored on a different thread than the one was created on. This is maintained by lazy idle thread. This is a workaround for bugs such and such. That's right. I remember having to deal with that and getting some advice from people. That was really nice. So when this thing is constructed, we assert that we're not on the main thread. This is like something to do with multi-thread apartments. We have to get the destination list. We create an instance of the destination list, and then we set it to our member here, and we make sure that it is available, and then we forward all of our calls, which makes a lot of sense. And then when it goes away, I don't know if we have to Windows dest list equals null. Do we ever set it to null pointer? Do we ever need to throw it away? What did we do before? Dest list equals, yeah, we never set it to null here, but in the legacy one, jump list manager, when did we set it to null? On shutdown. And right now what we do, I think we do send a message at the very bottom here in the observer. We say do shutdown backend. And what does do shutdown backend do? Yeah, we clear out the backend, which will destroy Windows dest list. Windows dest list is, what is it, a smart pointer? It is a ref pointer. So that means that it should get destroyed. The ref counting, this is ref counted, so as soon as this goes away, This is the only thing holding on to the Windows guest list, so it'll get destroyed. Okay, okay. Feels good about it. Feel good about it. So when we construct a jump list builder, we supply the app user model ID, and whether or not if we're using a testing backend, we might supply it as an argument. This thing needs to be constructed on the main thread. And we set up our new thread, our background thread, set up the observer service, and dispatch a task that hands a reference to the test backend of the background thread. The testing backend was probably constructed on a different thread and is responsible for doing any locking and cleanup. Also sets the app user model ID. That is not true anymore. Does not set the app user model ID. So we need to update that documentation. Dispatch task that hands reference to the testing backend of the background thread. The testing backend was probably constructed on the main thread and is responsible for doing any locking and cleanup when the background thread is using locking and cleanup for when the background thread is using it. It does not. Doing a locking as well as cleanup. Dispatch task constructs a native jump list backend. The native jump list backend does not set the app ID. Okay. Then we dispatch that, and then M6 packages explicitly do not support setting the app ID from within the app, as it is set in the package manifest instead. So we have to say, if we don't have I forgot about this part. M6 packages explicitly do not support setting the app. Does this sound like something I'd written? Yeah. I copied this. So we have to send it. Do set app ID. Okay. Okay. When we get destroyed, we remove the observers. You know what? Hold up. Hold up. Remove observer K pref taskbar enabled. Do we have to remove these observers? Topic profile before change. Remove. Okay, we do that here. Topic profile before change. But what about the other one? Topic clear private data. When do we remove that observer? I don't think we do. Okay, that's a thing we need to do. Add observer topic profile before change. So when shutting down, we'll go ahead and we're going to remove the observer. This topic, was it clear private data? Okay. That's good. Glad we caught that. setting up the back end, we hold on to it here. We assume we didn't already have a back end. Shut down here, saying the app ID, obtain and cache fav icon. So this is that same thing as before, where we're just forwarding to this thing, and it'd be really nice if this was all off of a main thread too, but it's not, and maybe someday we can do that. We get the icon file path, we try and obtain it, and if we get it, if we get a cached icon path, we'll write that to a cached icon path. Okay. Is that what the old legacy one does as well? Obtain and cache file icon. Not really, eh? Did I rename it? It's like why obtain cached icon file. Oh, always use the first icon in the ICO file. Our encoded icon only has one resource. That's okay. So something that I had done before, I'm going to put back. Fallback. This should be 0. And we're going to copy this comment. Always use the first icon. That seems to have been a conscious choice. The ICO file as our encoded icon only has one resource. So we can update the documentation for Windows jump list shortcut description. Icon is supplied. If this is supplied, if this is not supplied, then the fallback icon. Wait a second. Am I doing this right? This isn't. Hang on. Yes, I am. Yes. Okay. If this is not supplied, then the fallback icon index is used for the is used to get an icon from the executable pointed at by path. I guess that's part of here instead. If this is not supplied, then the fallback icon is used instead. Okay. So we kind of walked that back a little bit. Where was I? Construction. Yes. Done all that. Looked at this. Is available. It's just dispatching stuff. This is classic, just dispatching tasks onto another thread. It's all pretty boilerplate. It's just like, hey, try and create a promise. Also, hand the stuff to another thread. Get rid of the old icons. We async delete all favicons from disk whenever we populate the jump list. We did that every time? Yeah, looks like we did. Anytime we added to the custom list. Okay. construct our Windows jump list shortcut descriptions from the objects that came in to JSVal. Desk. If we can't get rooted val. It needs to be a rooted JS value? I wonder if that's true. I wonder if I need to do this. Maybe that I might be, because I'm turning one JS value into another JS value. I don't know if I need to do that. I'm gonna put this up here actually. Do I really need to convert each Windows jump list shortcut description JSVal into a rooted JSVal before initting to the structure? Something to check. I want to move these desks to the background thread so that the right COM parameters can get created on that thread and then written to the jump list all in one shot. Okay. Good. Pass by reference. Cool. And then clearing the jump list. Make sure we can construct the promise and then just say, yeah, clear the jump list. Check is available. Again, more boilerplate is available. Oh, this is interesting. New runnable function is available. New runnable function. Oh, that's interesting. So instead of trying to do it within a lambda, so I've been dispatching all these things to these other like these methods, and here I'm using a lambda runnable function. So this runs off of the main thread. So I don't have a do is available, or I do have a do is available. Sorry, I'm running this on the main thread. I dispatch to the main thread to resolve the promise to a certain value. Check for removals. All right, reject with a return value in the event that we fizzle out. Abort any ongoing list building that might not have been committed, otherwise being this will give us problems. Begin the list and then remove icon cache and get, what's this do again? Remove icon cache. Does multiple things to avoid unnecessary extra computations for each object in the input array. If it's an iShell link, then deletes the cache icon, adds the URL param to the list of URLs to be removed from the places database. This is in check for removals. Oh, I see. I see. Anything that was removed will queue up the work to remove the favicons. And then we'll also abort the list at the end here. And then release. Populating the list. This is the most interesting part. We set up our exit here, our error handler, and then let's give us problems. Begin the list. Let's remove. talked about that a little bit. We'll go through each task, and then we'll create the collection. We go through each task, we'll create a shell link from it, and then we'll add the object. And then we'll query the object array to a iObject array. What did it used to be? Task collection was, okay, a task collection that I created. And then we will pass that to add user tasks. Okay. Custom descriptions, build the custom list. It's much the same. We'll create shell links, we'll add them to our custom collection, and then we'll query interface for the iObject array, and then we'll say, hey, here's a category, here's a string for the custom tasks, and here's the array. And then we'll commit, and then we'll release. All right, that's good. Clearing the jump list. If we fail out, we'll just say, hey, didn't figure out why, but NS error unexpected. Otherwise, we'll delete the list, and if that succeeds, then we'll say, oh, if there's no backend, then we'll freak out here. If we succeed in clearing the jump list, then we'll resolve with undefined. Otherwise, we will resolve with NS error failure. Perfect. This is all the same stuff that we used to use. I don't think... kind of a big patch. Indeed! Big patch. Big patch. This is the bulk of the work, I'd say. Delete icon from the disk. That's just a rename. Creates a shell link that encapsulates a shortcut to local apps. This is not the greatest comment, eh? Converts a Windows jump list shortcut description into a I shell link W. Okay. Oh, our build failed for reasons. I wonder what those reasons were. Oh, wow. We are... When did things start to fall apart? Warning, 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 warning. Warning, warning, warning. Looking for an error that would explain why we failed out. Warning, warning, warning. Jump list builder. Error. No member named remove observer. Did I mean... I misspelled observer. That's why. Remove observer. I'm going to try that instead. So that's all fine, I think. This is the same. We just copied this stuff over, basically. Well, no, that's not true. We didn't copy. So let's take a look. We're off of the main thread. We create a pointer to this thing. We create an iShell link. And then we write into it, store the title of the app. And then store the rest of the params, the path, the description, the arguments, fallback icon. And then we hand the out param back. Don't add ref PSL. I guess that's how you do it. Turn as okay. Okay. And then here's our observer that we are hoping is running on the main thread. If we're shutting down, we'll send the shutdown backend and the clearing. Good. Okay, that was the bulk of it. We're almost through. I'm going to finish up shortly. This is all formatting. This is unfortunate that some of this legacy jump list builder stuff got folded in here, because And you know what? Maybe I'll uncommit and fold this into the prior patch, because this is all unrelated. This is just like linting stuff. Yeah, all of this is just linting. Lint, lint, lint. Linty, 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 loo. This is all just linting. And it shouldn't have been included in this patch. And then Windows taskbar, we're going to use, create legacy. That's fine. But this is the operative part that's going to use our new jump list builder thingy. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, pretty happy. And I think this is it's gonna link shortly. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I think this is gonna build properly. I will run the tests just to see, but I'm not gonna do it on the stream. I'm gonna end the stream right now. But no matter what, I'm going to post what I've got to Fabricator if you want to dig through it a little bit. I'm gonna HG absorb, push the whip patch, and then next week we'll continue going through the other 2 patches, and then we can hopefully have everything cleaned up and we can request review. So I apologize if you thought, I made it seem as if we were going to have all this stuff up for review today, but it turns out there was a lot to look at and a lot to sort of like sort through and remember, and there were a bunch of to-dos, in particular for documentation. And, we've been working on this thing for a while, and there was some old cruff that we need to clean out. So it's always good to pre-review your stuff anyways, just so that your reviewer can focus on stuff that you haven't already, like stuff that you wouldn't have spotted yourself basically during a review. So that's just a pro tip. Hey, thanks for watching episode 341 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a link at the bottom of the agenda here to rate this episode. I'm actually going to put a link. Rate this episode, a link. I'm going to put that in the chat. If you want to follow that, you can fill it out. You can let me know what you thought. Let me know what I can do to make the episodes better for you, more interesting. I read everything that comes in. If you have questions you want me to address during a stream, go ahead and send them that way. Or suggestions, anything like that, go ahead. That's the way to do it. That's the way to get in touch. Thanks again for watching. Oh, and if you have ideas on things we could do for episode 350, send them in to the Rate This Episode forum. I'd love to hear them. And I'm going to cap it there. Have yourselves a great week. I will hopefully see you in a week, and we will continue working on this stuff. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
Shout out to George. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.